Leave then. Those two words can sound small when they come from the mouth of someone you love. But sometimes they are the moment everything inside you finally breaks. He stood there, angry, confident, completely certain that I would do what I had always done, stay, apologize, cry, make peace, pretend his words didn't cut deeper than they should. And then he looked at me and said, "If you don't like it here, leave." For a few seconds, I said nothing, not because I was weak, not because I didn't know what to do, but because something inside me became painfully clear. He wasn't afraid of losing me. He was certain I would never leave. And that certainty had become his permission to hurt me. Have you ever reached that moment, the moment when you realize someone has confused your patience with weakness, your forgiveness with permission, your loyalty with the guarantee that you will tolerate anything? I looked around the room at the life I had helped build, at the walls that had heard my laughter, my apologies, my sleepless nights, and all the promises I kept making to myself. Promises that tomorrow would be different. Promises that he would understand. Promises that if I just loved harder, explained better, or stayed calmer, somehow everything would change. But standing there, with his words still hanging in the air, I realized something terrifying. I had been waiting for him to change while slowly abandoning myself. So I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I didn't beg him to take the words back. I simply looked at him and said, "Okay." And he had absolutely no idea what that one word was about to cost him. Because this time, I wasn't walking away to make him chase me. I was about to do something he never expected, and it started with finally choosing myself. The strangest part was how calm I felt. For years, I had imagined leaving in a storm of tears. I thought there would be screaming, accusations, slammed doors, and one final desperate conversation where he would suddenly understand everything I had been trying to say. But there was no storm. There was silence. A deep, unfamiliar silence. I walked into the bedroom and opened the closet. That was when he laughed. "You're seriously packing?" I didn't answer. He followed me, still carrying that same confidence. The confidence of a man who believed he knew exactly how this would end. He thought I was trying to scare him. He thought I would fold the moment he refused to stop me. And maybe that was the most painful realization of all. He knew my patterns. He knew I would usually stay. But this time, I started placing my clothes into a bag. One shirt, then another. And with every piece of my life I folded, something inside me unfolded. The truth. I had spent too long trying to convince someone to value what I was constantly willing to sacrifice for them. My peace, my dignity, my voice. He finally stopped laughing. "Where are you going?" And I looked at him. Not with hatred, not with revenge, but with a sadness that had finally reached its limit. "I don't know yet," I said, "but I know I can't keep living like this." That was the moment his expression changed. Because suddenly, the woman he thought would always stay was standing in front of him with a suitcase. And he was beginning to understand something he should have understood long before that night sometimes. People don't leave because they stopped loving you. Sometimes they leave because staying has started to destroy them. But packing the suitcase was the easy part. What happened next was the part he never saw coming. He thought he knew exactly what would happen next. He thought I would grab a bag, drive somewhere for a few hours, cry until I was exhausted, and eventually come back. That had been our pattern: distance, silence. Then me returning with a softer voice and another chance in my hands. But this time, I didn't drive around waiting for my anger to disappear. I did something he never expected. I called someone I trusted. And for the first time in years, I told the truth, not the polished version, not the version where I protected his reputation while quietly destroying my own peace. The truth: I can't do this anymore. Those words felt terrifying, because once you say the truth out loud, you can no longer pretend you don't know it. I arranged a place to stay. Then I did something even more important. I stopped checking my phone every 30 seconds. I stopped waiting for an apology. I stopped hoping that panic would suddenly teach him the lessons that my pain never could. That night, my phone rang once, twice. Then again, messages appeared. Are you really doing this? Come home. You're overreacting. And then finally, I didn't think you would actually leave. There it was. The truth he never intended to admit. He didn't think I would leave. Not because our marriage was strong, not because he believed in us, but because he had become comfortable with my tolerance. And that realization hurt, because sometimes the people closest to us don't recognize our breaking point until we stop explaining it. I stared at his message for a long time. Then I put my phone down. For once, I didn't rush to comfort the person who had caused the pain. I let the silence speak. And somewhere in that silence, I realized that leaving the house was only the beginning. The harder thing was about to begin. I had to learn who I was when I stopped making my entire life about keeping someone else comfortable. The first night away was harder than I expected, not because I wanted to go back, but because silence has a way of introducing you to everything you have been trying to avoid. There was no argument, no tension waiting behind the next door, no need to carefully measure my words, no need to wonder what mood he would be in. And somehow that peace felt almost uncomfortable. Do you know why? Because when you have spent years surviving emotional chaos, peace can feel unfamiliar. I sat alone and stared at my phone. His messages kept coming. At first, they were angry. So this is what you wanted. Then they became defensive. You're making me look like the bad guy. And eventually they changed again. Please just come home so we can talk. I read every message. But I noticed something important. Most of them were about how my leaving made him feel. Very few were about what had made me leave. And suddenly, I understood something that took me years to learn. Someone can miss having access to you without truly understanding your pain. Someone can fear losing you without ever learning how to love you better. That realization broke something open inside me. Because for so long, I had confused his need for me with genuine care for me. They are not always the same thing. So I did the thing he never expected. I stopped responding immediately. I gave myself space, not as punishment, not as revenge, but as protection. For once, I allowed my own feelings to exist without rushing to explain them away. And in that silence, I began remembering who I was before I became the person constantly trying to save the relationship. But the next morning, something happened that made me realize leaving had triggered a reaction I never saw coming. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls. 17. For a moment, I just stared at the screen. A part of me wanted to call him back immediately. That old instinct was still there, the instinct to fix, soothe, explain, and make everything less uncomfortable. But then I asked myself a question that changed everything. Why was I always expected to repair the damage? Even when I wasn't the one who caused it for years, every argument followed the same exhausting pattern. He would say something cruel, I would get hurt. Then somehow, I would end up apologizing for being hurt. I would explain why his words affected me, explain why I needed respect, explain why being told to leave by the person I married was not something I could simply laugh off, and he would act confused or annoyed, or tell me I was too sensitive. But that morning, I was tired of explaining pain to someone who had watched me bleed emotionally and still asked why I was upset. So when I finally answered his call, I didn't argue. He said, "Are you really going to throw everything away over one fight?" And I took a deep breath. No, I said quietly, "I'm leaving because it was never just one fight." Silence. That sentence landed differently because suddenly there was no dramatic accusation for him to fight against. Just the truth, 1,000 small wounds, 1,000 moments I had swallowed, 1,000 times I chose peace at the cost of myself. And then he asked me the question I knew was coming. What do you want me to do? For years, I had begged for that question. But now I didn't have an answer ready because for the first time, I wasn't interested in telling him how to keep me. I was trying to discover what I needed to finally stop losing myself. And what I decided next would shock him even more than leaving. What do you want me to do? I kept thinking about that question after the call ended. For years, I would have had an entire list ready. Listen to me, respect me, stop dismissing my feelings, stop making me feel like loving you means accepting everything you do. But something had changed. I was tired of giving someone else the instruction manual for how to treat me like I mattered. So instead of telling him what to do, I made a decision about what I would do. I stopped negotiating against myself. I found a place to stay longer than one night. I moved more of my things. I handled the practical details I had been avoiding because facing reality felt terrifying. And then I did something he truly never expected. I stopped making decisions based on whether he would approve. That may sound simple. But when you have spent years adjusting yourself around another person's moods, expectations, and reactions, making one decision entirely for yourself can feel revolutionary. He called again. Are you really not coming back this time? I didn't rush to reassure him. I didn't say, of course I am. I didn't make promises I wasn't ready to keep. I simply said, I don't know. And for the first time, I allowed myself not to know. I didn't need to decide my entire future in one emotional conversation. I only needed to stop walking back into the same pain because uncertainty scared me. That was what shocked him most. Not that I left, but that I was no longer asking him to decide what happened next. And then, just when I thought I was finally finding my strength, he did something that tested every boundary I was trying to build. At first, his voice was soft. That was what made it dangerous. Not because kindness is dangerous, but because I had spent years learning how easily fear can disguise itself as love. He told me he missed me. He said the house felt empty. He promised things would be different, and for a moment, my heart wanted to believe him, because hope can be incredibly powerful when you have loved someone for a long time. But then I asked myself a question I had avoided for years. Why did he only become willing to change when he realized I was no longer willing to stay? That question hurt. Because real change is not always found in beautiful words spoken during a crisis. Real change lives in what happens after the fear settles, after the apologies, after the promises, after the person believes you might actually forgive them. He wanted me to come home immediately. Let's just put this behind us, he said. But I had spent too much of my life putting things behind me that were still hurting me. So I said no, not forever, not angrily, just no. And that one word changed the conversation. Suddenly the softness disappeared. His frustration returned. You're being selfish. You're tearing this family apart. You're punishing me. There it was. The test. Because boundaries often reveal what apologies cannot. Anyone can promise to respect you when they are afraid of losing you. The real question is whether they can respect you when you say something they don't want to hear. My hands shook. Every part of my old self wanted to explain, to defend, to prove that I wasn't cruel. But I didn't. I simply said, I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself. And then I ended the call. But what happened after that silence forced me to confront the hardest truth of all. Leaving him was one thing. Letting go of the woman I had become inside that marriage was something else entirely. Months later, someone asked me if leaving was the hardest thing I had ever done. I thought about it for a moment. And then I said no. Leaving was painful, terrifying, heartbreaking. But it wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was finally admitting how long I had been abandoning myself just to keep someone else from leaving. That was the truth I had spent years avoiding. I thought love meant holding on. I thought commitment meant enduring. I thought being a good wife meant finding one more reason to forgive, one more way to understand, one more piece of myself to sacrifice. But love should never require you to disappear. And commitment should never become a cage. I don't know what happened after that will look the same for everyone. Some relationships can heal when both people take responsibility and create real change. Others cannot. But I learned that staying should be a choice, not something you do because you are afraid of what happens if you leave. The day he told me to leave, he expected me to be frightened. He expected me to beg. He expected me to stay because I always had before. What he never expected was that his words would finally force me to ask the question I should have asked myself years earlier. What if leaving isn't losing? What if losing yourself is? And maybe that is the lesson I want you to remember. You do not have to wait until someone gives you permission to protect your peace. You do not have to keep proving your worth to someone committed to overlooking it. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop arguing for your place in a life that keeps asking you to become smaller. So if someone tells you to leave, don't let fear answer for you. Listen to yourself, because sometimes walking away isn't the end of your story. Sometimes it is the moment you finally come home to yourself.